Welcome to another show of Mistress of Change, brought to you by the House of Preeminence and the Preeminence Rising platform. I am, of course, your host, Jenni P. And in this show, I bring you thought leaders, change makers, movers and shakers and uprisers and rebels, and people who are truly out there in the world, shaking it up. All of them have something beautiful, inspiring, powerful and transforming to say and to share with you. I curate my guests really thoroughly, and it is my delight today to bring back to you somebody who I have known for over 10 years. She was in my first magazine and we connected by our love of being a possibilitarian and playing in the quantum field. So we are going to journey to all things quantum today and just take the veil away from all, the shroud of all of the misery and the collective pain and everything. So sit down and journey with us and welcome my very, very special friend, Soleira Green.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I'm in such great company when you say all that. That's wonderful. Yeah, I know. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Okay, Soleira, just give us a context of what you do, what your big vision is, how you bringing your gifts to the world before we dive into all of the really juicy bits.
Okay. Well, I love, just before you hit record, you were saying that I love exaltation. I thought, oh, that's the first I've heard anybody say that about me, but I'm someone who comes in love with the world, in love with life, in love with the possibilities of us all. And over the last 25 years, I've been working on sourcing leading edge breakthroughs in consciousness, in the quantum field, in the miraculous, in innovation, in genius, in transformation, any area that comes up for me to play a part in. And what I've discovered, we were just talking about options of how you be in the world today. And I know that can be really challenging with some of the things that go on, but my view is that everything happens for a purpose, and that we have a role to play in having life move towards that purpose. And so my work has been very innovational, very, you could say expansive, you use that word too, but it's about coming to it almost as a force for life, a potential for the miraculous outcomes to show up that wouldn't necessarily show up if we just sat back and did nothing. So I guess another way of saying it is I'm a big fan of, a lover of consciousness. I always have been. And I just wrote a post that you were mentioning earlier, how consciousness is getting to be an old word for me. It feels a bit lifeless because everything's altered so much in the last year, in the last 2 years, in the last 10 years, the last 20 years. It just keeps taking quantum leaps. And I believe that we, meaning many people all over the world, are sourcing those quantum leaps, all in our own unique, masterful, genius ways, to go to a new place together, a new place of who we are as beings, a new place of who we are as a world and the possibility of us in the universe, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of, I guess in a simple way, I'm just kind of always leaping ahead somewhere to see what wonders can be created, and taking with me as many people who will go on that journey. And I have to say, like 10 years ago, it was hard for people to hear me because I was often way out there somewhere. Now everything's kind of landed, and I find now so many people are now like, yes, this is who we are, this is what's possible, this is what we can do. And it seems to have landed and presenced itself and come alive in a brand new way. So that's how I see the world today, is alive with possibility. As you said, we are possibilitarians. You know,
that is quite true. That since I had my first magazine, and we got to work together and collaborate together, and we already knew that was on I Am Chronicles. We already knew that the work that what we were talking about was small group stuff, just like we'll just talk about it amongst ourselves until people are ready to hear it. Whereas there have been so many revelations, and they've been shared by big people, really prestigious scientists and researchers, and the Bruce Liptons and the Greg Bradens and all of these guys who are so relatable. They're already out there, and because they're already in the center of attention, for them to say those things is people are now listening, and that has just spread and spread and spread and spread. And there's younger generations coming on talking about this, and this, as you said, this conversation has just expanded as our own understanding of consciousness has expanded, and our own understanding of how we interact with the universe. And I love that. What is it that makes you want to keep leaping ahead all the time?
That's a great question. For me, it's the most exciting adventure there is, It's like, I think my life would be quite dull without that kind of adventure. I mean, I've had travel adventures and epiphanies and all kinds of things, but it's that moment when a portal opens, a door opens in your awareness, and you go, oh my God, there's so much more that we can become, that the earth is, that our connection with life, nature, earth, animals, the stars, the galaxies, I just got fascinated by all of that. And it was really all I could do. Let's just keep pressing and leaping forward. And one of the joys of that for me was that I probably started about 20 years ago, maybe, collaborating with other people who wanted to do that too. And as you said, we tend to have been in the past smaller groups, but to collaborate like that, and I call it genius fusion. And because what happens is each person is a master genius in their own right, an expanded and infinite being as a creator in their own right. And we come together in groups and do what I call consciousness innovation. And no one is saying, do this, follow this is the way to do it. We're like unleashed, each of us, to bring our mastery to the game and to co-create together something extraordinary. And so one of the things that for me is a great joy is that I love being able to witness that collaborative co-creation, because it isn't just something I've done, it's something we've done. And I know that person did that, and that person did that, and that person. And without any of that, it wouldn't have gone to this possibility of us. So that for me has been one of the great joy of my life, is being with others to co-create like that. And I think that's representative of what's possible in the world, that we can each be equally masterfully genius without having to say, no, I'm right, do it my way. None of us say that. We're all in awe of one another as who we are and what's possible and what we bring to the creation. And I think that's the way businesses should be run, and government should happen, and the way nations should operate with nations is in that equally collaborative way of co-creating the possibility of life. And for me, it's become very, very practical in the last couple of years. It's gone into everything. you know, into how I live my life, how I shop for groceries, how I shop online for clothes, how I, you know, everything. It's not just something I do with friends on a call once or twice a week. It's who I am, how I'm living my life. I'll bet you've seen that too in your own life, haven't you?
I see that there is magic in everything. There is absolute magic in everything.
Yeah.
I live in a zone of magic as well, but it's not unicorn magic.
Yeah.
It's yes, falling in love with life. You said right at the beginning is this deep abiding passion for the miracle of existence, the miracle of evolution, the miracle of love, of Amazon, as we said, because, you know, honestly, a few hundred years ago, the idea of just like going online and just tapping a few buttons and being able to get crystals and
I know anything,
vitamin supplements and beautiful wooden symbols and anything, and just like have it turn up the next day so we can do our work was just unthinkable. So, you know, and everything is, of course, speeding up. It's, in fact, I think the world's probably speeding up to catch up with you.
I hope so.
What we were talking about, I love that you landed, you know, also, this is the way that governments should be run, that schools should be run, that institutions could be run, and businesses could be run. So, oh my goodness. And then we said to each other just before, having a conversation like this and then sharing it is the work.
Yeah,
that is the work, because of course we are speaking it into being. Yeah. We are speaking it into being. So anybody, I'd love you to share your perspective on this. Anybody who's out there feeling like they're not effective in making an impact, or they're not big enough, or, you know, or they don't have the power or resources to do something miraculous, just give us your perspective on that, Soleira.
Oh, yeah, big time. Some of the most powerful people I know are doing it in their gardens and nobody knows they're doing it. You know, like, and they're sitting in their armchair, or they're, you know, in the middle of the night, they're up to great things. It's not, for me, the measure of my own personal fulfillment in life is not what other people's measure of success might be. I certainly like to have an abundant life. I like to wear nice clothes. I like to have great friends, and I like, you know, it's all that stuff. But where I measure my life from is, have I had an impact on the world? And you can do that very quietly, or you can do it, you know, in front of millions. Both are equally powerful. And I think for me, one of the biggest learnings was, well, I started by falling in love with the universe as well as being in love with life. And when I fell in love with the universe, I realized that it's rich with forces and powers of life, of exhilaration, of thrivingness, of possibility of us. And I began over the years to surrender more and more of who I thought I was and what I was supposed to be. And I just surrendered into allowing the forces of life, the force, if you want to call it that, you know, from Yoda, or the miraculous power of the universe to move through me. And the more I did that, the more I found how delicious life can be. Like my own personal life, I don't get triggered by things anymore. I don't have upsets. Everything works. And if something happens that's like, oh, look, something bizarre is happening, which might trigger lots of people and throw you into a spin. For me, it's like, oh, this will always have a greater purpose. Okay, what is it? I'll go right into taking that thing and turning it into gold, you could say, possibility, life, outcomes for us all. Because for me, I don't relate to my life personally anymore. I relate to my life globally and universally. That can sound a bit strange. I know, as people might hear that and go, what's she talking about? But when anything happens, it's like the universe saying, okay, next piece of work, here you go. And I get right on it, and then life works. The practicality of it is enormous. I love living like this. I can't imagine why everybody wouldn't want to, because it's delightful. It's a beautiful way to live. So even when I look at things that are not going right or well in the world, it calls me into action with the miraculous moving through me. Not so much like a miracle of healing. I refer to the miraculous more like as like a power for all life to thrive. That's how I relate to it. Other people will relate to it in different ways, but for me, it's a force that moves through me. So I use anything in life to call that forth in me and to go to work on it to turn out outcomes that I don't have an agenda for. As possibilitarians, one of the things you learn is don't try and say, oh, this is how it needs to turn out, because the universe, the quantum, will amaze you with what can happen if you let go of expectation and judgment, and you allow the force to move through you to elevate life to the next levels. Then it will amaze you with the outcomes that come from that. And that, to me, is a process that I've just adapted into everything, including very practical things in my life that get it to flow and work brilliantly. So
I'd love to stay here a little while longer, because working with so many heart-led, soul-led, mission-led, especially feminine entrepreneurs for so long, and being in this environment and feeling their visceral attachment to humanity, which means that they're also very sensitive to when humanity goes awry.
yeah.
And I've seen the challenge of them keeping it at that that level that I also reside there. Is my heart is always being thrown over a bar, but I mean, it's permanent. It's just it doesn't actually land. It just keeps going, and it's this kind of this kind of, it's like a drive. But it's not intellectual, or it's part of the life force again. But nevertheless, it is challenging not to be, if you just venture into conventional media, and start to get bombarded with images and messages and people's pain and suffering, naturally, because we are intuitive and loving beings. It's hard not to tap into. It's hard not to absorb that pain. So what do you do, Soleira, to stay at this level of exaltation, or do you go and look and just to get up to date with what's happening, and what's your process? Do you have a process for
Yes. And it's interesting as you say that, I realize I have only just in the past month and a half mastered that. So I normally don't even look at the news, but in the last month and a half, I watch it multiple times a day. And it just like what I was talking about, it calls this force through me for the miraculous to surge in the world. And I've managed to watch it without the drop. Am I compassionate? Yes. Am I concerned? I don't know if I do I want something else? Yes, absolutely. Does it sometimes kind of break your heart as to what you see people doing to people? Yes, sometimes. But I know that if I go there, if I allow myself to drop into that, I can't be the force for the miraculous to elevate us all to the breakthrough that is waiting to come, the breakthrough that's on offer. And for me, when something's happening like that, there is a greater game that goes on that I don't think often many people see. I think when we see something in the world that's not right, it can break your heart. But when you look bigger, you see forces at play that are holding out their hands. It's not, I don't mean literally some beings, but the forces of the universe are saying, here, Earth people, now this could be the last ever war. This could be the breakthrough in the possibility of nations working with nations. This could be the breakthrough in people really seeing each other and elevating into a new level of consciousness, a new level of intelligence, a new level of being on earth. And so in the past month and a half, I have just gone for it. Like there's no holding back in me anymore, because I realized, well, that's my role, is that. And I would love to see as many people have that role, in whatever way they choose to fulfill that, because that's how we're going to get there. And I find too, if I drop into any form of judgment, upset, distress, disappointment, I'm totally ineffective. And everything, the magic around me stops. And I'm now part of the problem rather than sourcing the possibility of a solution that will just take our breath away when it shows up, And that's how I've worked my way through that. And like I said, it's been a real breakthrough in the last month and a half, because the whole thing that's been going on, just like called me into something I haven't been called into like that before. So yeah,
that's really inspiring, because the other response that we can have is to never go there. It's just to say, well, I'm putting my head in the sand. My beloved does that. He won't talk about it. He just will not entertain, an idea, even just in acknowledging something. But
I understand that.
The other part of that is actually just never daring to go there. But as you just explained so beautifully and exquisitely and movingly, is by avoiding it, we are holding ourselves back from getting into this zone of possibility, of looking at something potentially really, challenging, and just energetically and mentally switching it into another possibility.
Well, let me just say this, using your partner as an example. For some people, not looking at it is the right thing for them to do, to continue to source the outcomes for us all. And I see that as just as masterful. If they can do that, if they can stay in that high vibrational, beautiful, thriving way, then they're doing their masterful piece of it. Do you know what I mean? We don't all have to stand in the midst of the fray. But I have, in particular, in the last month and a half, stood in the midst of the fray and stood there as a power source for the miraculous. And that's been a breakthrough for me. And it's something that would be very hard for a lot of people to do, because it is hard to come out of judgment. And it's taken a long time for me to do that. You know, I've been at it for about 20 years. So not to say it has to take everybody a long time. I think once a number of us break through, then it's easier for everybody to do that. And that's what I see. A lot of the very sensitive, empathic people who I think are huge contributors to the quantum evolution of us all. They've been elevating the power of their empathy over recent years to the place where that has become a huge masterful contribution to us all as well. So there are many different routes to it, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's not just mine. But we all have to work to find our own ways to that. For some people, it's tilling their gardens. And that's how they do their work. And it's just as powerful and just as beautiful, you know, as
that happens to be my beloved as well. That's exactly what it is. Right poet. That is such a beautiful invitation to whoever's listening to this. So I'd love you to share with us a little bit about what your experience of how it's not consciousness, how the different dimensions that are open to us right now, how they are interacting if we are willing. We've heard about, you know, the fifth dimension and transcendence and Aquarian age, and there are so many explanations. It's quite dazzling, and like so many sensitive people, we can feel something. We just don't know what it is.
Yes.
So in your own playground and an exploration of the universe and of this it is expansion. What is it?
Well, I'll try and simplify it. Okay, so there's being unconscious, and there's being conscious, and there's being super conscious. And you can see how the vibration went up, the expansion went up with each one. So when you are super conscious, you are aware of more than just what goes on in your brain, or what goes on in your body, or what goes on just in the close and around you. You expand your awareness, you integrate what I call infinite intelligence, the universe, you know, all of that. And you begin to run in a different modality of life. So for me, it's not personal anymore. I don't care about identity. I'm not trying to get myself better or fix anything in me or fix anything in anybody else either. It's one of my things. The more we witness the magnificence of another, the more they become it. Mm. And it's like I've been at work with others in this consciousness innovation. We call ourselves miraculous maestros, just for fun. And I've been at work for 10, 20 years now on embedding the infinite intelligence into a life, into flowing the genius of the quantum field through effortlessly. And it does now for me. I just have to go, oh, let's write a post. Shoot, out it comes. Hit post, takes me, 3 minutes to do all that. It's like, I don't have to, if I'm editing, something's wrong, it's not working. And so it's this ability to live super conscious has become something very real and practical and tangible in my life and others that I know, you too, and it's, in order to be super conscious, you have to live in a higher vibrational consciousness. That doesn't mean closing your eyes and going out somewhere, right? That's how it used to be for me. It's open your eyes and be wildly in love with life right here, vibrational consciousness. It's witnessing beauty, it's seeing magnificence, it's finding delight in the smallest of things, the beauty of flowers, the food, the smells, the sky, the stars, the whatever. Even Facebook posts, I'm constantly searching Facebook posts for these beautiful pictures of the world, so that they can stir me to something inside me, to raise me further. And there was a point where Centauri and I lived in Spain for a little while, and we had a 180-degree view of sunrise to sunset over the Mediterranean Sea. It was like, boy, that took my vibration to a new level when we consistently for 2 weeks lived like that. And things like that make a difference. So I would say seek beauty, seek excellence, seek magnificence in everything all around you, even in the tiniest of things. And that puts you in an expanded superconscious state in which you just then naturally begin to see a bigger picture, to orient to greater possibility. And it just naturally falls out of you because it's in people anyways. Their mastery already exists. It's giving it the opportunity to go into flow for me. So
this is leading beautifully into another topic that I'm passionate about, which is high vibrational lifestyle. And I love the way that you emphasized how much that we don't have to be like this heavy human being, and then at some point we're going to get to a place where we're lighter and sparklier and funnier and and anything but actually, again, seeing the magic in everything is actually just opening up to what's already here. You do that. You guide that with your maestros. What do you call them? Your maestros?
Miraculous maestros.
Your miraculous maestros. I do it through color and
yes, me too.
And style and home and being surrounded by beauty. You also mentioned being, in fact, nourishing yourself with beauty. Nourishing yourself with beauty. Music. Ideas.
Dance. Sunshine.
Sunshine. Gorgeous, funny people. Lovely people.
I even watch TV that way. I'm watching to be moved. I was just watching the latest episode of This Is Us. It's a TV show. I was in tears 3 or 4 times through the show, but I love that. I am deeply touched by something, and I want to be stirred like that. I'm not afraid of tears. I'm not afraid of even upset anymore. I kind of relish the experience of being alive and being able to feel such amazing things and to be drawn towards such amazing possibilities for us all. So I'm with you on that one.
And also, would you agree that it is a really smart thing for change makers and entrepreneurs to adopt that as a practice, because that high vibration does attract abundance. It does attract vitality. Would you agree, Soleira?
Oh, I say that because I coach a lot of people, and I say to them, do what you love what you do, find the joy, the abundance then comes. Do something great for the universe will do something great for you. That's how the abundance works. Yes, I feel exactly the same. If I try to do something where I have to push it and force it and work hard at it, it's lost all that effervescent magnetism that would call people to it in the first place. you know, so I can't do it that way anymore. It's like I have to pour the joy into it. And then as soon as I hit post or put an image up or something, people gravitate towards it because it contains that energy. It's like that. And I think we can put that into everything we do, everything we create. When we're cooking food, when we're cleaning the house, when we're designing our interiors and clothes. I'm like you, I love finding clothes that represent this and give me joy. I'm color wild at the moment. I've gone pink and turquoise crazy. But I feel that way. I couldn't put on something that didn't make me feel like, here world, you know, here we are. Here's the joy. Here's the ebullience of life. I have to be a representative of that and bringing it to everything I do now. And I would recommend people find whatever that is for them and then do loads of it. So yeah.
I'll let that way just like way beautifully into space. So where can people find you, Soleira?
My website is soleiragreen.com, SOLEIRA, green like the color.com. And I've also just started a Patreon account where I'm writing about breakthroughs in consciousness, the quantum field, and the miraculous, and doing that maybe 3 times a week. So if they want to get direct emails, they can sign up on my Patreon account. And I'm always on Facebook. I love it. I run my business on Facebook, so you can connect with me there too. So there's just one of me with my name on Facebook, which is kind of fun. So that'd be great. I'd love to connect with anybody who'd love to.
Well, this has been really special. I want to thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
That's really, really, really special. I hope this is really, I know this will have really inspired whoever's listening. You know, please follow Soleira's invitation up and find it on Facebook, because she writes some wild stuff.
Yes, I do. Gets wilder by the day too lately.
But it's about everything that you've heard in this beautiful conversation. So if that speaks to you, if that really resonates with you, then, you know, come and be part of her community as well as ours, because this is the work again. This is the work, getting together.
Yes, and thank you. I've loved doing this with you. It's amazing. After 10 years of us knowing each other, isn't that amazing that we're doing all these things for the world? It's just beautiful.
It is universal timing.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Soleira.
Thank you.